All right, so all of you can close your eyes, fold your hands, and take 3 deep breaths. And if you have your bead bag, you can grab your bead bag, or you can just fold your hands, and then we can chant. Okay, so let's take 3 deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा. So let's chant for a couple of minutes before we start the session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. So all of you can open your eyes. So welcome to this week's Bhagavad Gita class. So we all start our session as always with chanting. So just a couple of minutes, let's understand the benefits of chanting. We have a couple of new participants as well. So chanting the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or any mantra are spiritual sound vibrations which opens up our intelligence to absorb spiritual knowledge. So whenever we chant, the name is completely spiritual and it is not different from the form of the Lord. So say for example, when you chant money, 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 you don't actually get money. So the name and the form are completely different. But when you chant any Vedic mantra, so the mantra is not different from the Lord. So these spiritual vibrations reach Krishna in the spiritual world and then Krishna reciprocates. So that's the meaning which is given in the Shastras. All right. So we have been seeing about resilience. So In this class, we'll see a particular shloka. So let me share my screen. So let me know when you guys can see the screen. I'm sharing from another. So where is this share option? Okay, just give me 1 second. Right. Hope all of you can see the screen.
Yeah, we can.
Yep. So who can read the shloka for me? So you can repeat after me. Who can try this time? So Brandon, can you try after me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Karmani evadarikarasте. Can repeat?
I'm not sure. Karmani eva di karaste.
Ma phaleshu kadachana.
No.
You can try. Ma phaleshu kadachana.
Mahaleshu karakana.
Kadachana. Ma karma
Kadachana.
phala heturbhur.
No.
Okay.
Okay, I repeat. I finish with you, but can you repeat, please?
Yeah. Ma karma phala heturbhur.
Ma karma phala hetorbur.
Ma te sangostva karmani.
Master sango hasta karmani.
Nice. Great. So I'll repeat the shloka a couple of times. Okay. So this is how usually we read whenever we are in a particular class. Karmani evadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur ma te sangostva karmani. So word to word meaning. Karmani, in prescribed duties. Eva, certainly. Adhikaraha, right. The, of you. Ma, never. Phaleshu, in the fruits. Kadachana, at any time. Ma, never. Karma phala, in the result of the work. Hetuha, cause. Bhuha, become. Ma, never. Te, of you. Sangha, attachment. Astu, there should be. Akarmani, in not doing prescribed duties. So let's read the translation. So translation is the meaning of this particular shloka. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. Purport. So purport is a commentary of this particular verse, which will help to understand what Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna in this particular verse. There are three considerations here: prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired modes of material nature. Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but that he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the result. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Thus, he is the enjoyer or sufferer of the result of such actions. As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into three subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of scriptural injunctions without the desire for results is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, the work is not auspicious. Everyone has proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act with attachment. I should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. His non participation in the battle is another side of attachment. Such attachment never leads one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path of salvation for Arjuna. So I repeat the translation. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself, never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'll just go grab my water bottle. So, so in this particular verse, when Arjuna is completely confused in the battlefield, so that's when Krishna starts explaining things. So Arjuna asks a lot of questions. So one of the questions, the first question which Arjuna asked, why we are doing this particular battle. So what can we learn from this particular work? So when Krishna says, do your prescribed duty, but don't get attached to the results. So what can we learn from this? What's your first thought on reading this particular verse? How can we understand this particular verse? Yes, Brandon.
I understand, like, do we do the things without, I forgot the word, without,
Attachment.
like, yeah, but no other word, like when you waiting for something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember the word. Yeah, like, okay, yeah, like attachment, but no attachment. Like, yeah, like you want retribution of what are you doing. Like, don't waiting for that. Like, yeah, no expectations. Yeah,
Okay.
I understand that.
Mm. So we all have set some goals in life, right? So how do we reconcile this? So all of you might have questions. So if I'm not attached to the particular result, if I'm not aspiring, then what is the meaning? So what happens when Arjuna is in the battlefield? Everybody knew why Mahabharata was happening, but when Arjuna went in front of the battlefield, he had a lot of emotions. He started being sentimental. So if you see the conflict in identity, so this is very, very important. So whenever we face obstacles in our life, or whenever we go through difficulties, we need to understand that we have conflicting identities. So, what is our identity? How much are we clear about who we are? So, that is very, very important. So, when we say identity, we are Atmas, we are the eternal spirit souls. We are not this particular body. So, that is understanding the identity and what is our relationship with this particular world and what is our relationship to Krishna. So, that is how we understand ourselves. So, the moment things keep changing around us, which means that dynamics keeps changing. The situation around you puts yourself in a position where the identity starts conflicting. That is why there is tension building. So now let's take the example of Arjuna in the battlefield. As a warrior, he has to fight, but at the same time, he was part of the Pandavas clan, and at the same time, Kauravas, they had all Arjuna's relatives, his grandfathers. And as a student, he has to obey Krishna's instructions. So this was the three conflicting identities which Arjuna went through. So as soon as there is a conflict in identity, Arjuna started developing tension in his mind. So this is what happens in our real life as well. When we actually start facing obstacles and when things around us change, how soon we can adapt to that particular change, that is called as resilience. When life puts you in a difficulty, how soon you can get back in shape. So that's all we are trying to learn. And that's the perfect example of what Krishna is trying to teach Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So when Arjuna had this conflict of identity, then he was really, really confused and he wanted to completely escape this particular world. So Arjuna had two options: engage, number one, and the second option is escape. So what Krishna mentioned Arjuna is escape is not an option. Okay, so we all are here with a purpose and we all have one single purpose. So Krishna recommended Arjuna detached engagement, right? So you get attached to your goal, but not to your results. So how do we understand this? So we actually set a goal in life before we actually start performing a particular action. Okay, are you all with me? So we set some goals, short-term goals or long-term goals, without performing any action. So what are results? Results are something which arise when we actually start performing our action. Okay, so the idea here is to be attached to your goal, but don't be attached to your results. At some point in time you may not be able to achieve your goal. So we when we say don't get attached to results, which means there are a lot many factors around you which is influencing the particular result. So when you actually set a goal, the dynamics or the situation is like, so there are some parameters like, you might be in a particular position, you might be in a particular mindset, the world around you might be functioning in a certain way, and you might have certain needs according to that particular circumstance, and you will set a short term or a long term goal. But things around you keep changing. So how quickly you can adapt to changes and keep reorienting your vision towards the goal? So that is the question here. So when life puts you in a difficult situation, so how we can see this? We can see this in many ways. Like pain can be a permanent member or it can be a passing cloud. So what Krishna recommends here is to perform your work as a matter of duty. So we all have certain duties towards our family, towards our society, and towards our nation, and towards our culture, towards our religion. So what do you mean by doing the work as a matter of duty and not being attached to results? So when we actually are attached to results, right? So we have a particular goal. And what is the intention of that particular goal? Is that goal driven by our purpose in life? So what we understand from Bhagavad Gita is when Krishna started instructing Arjuna, Arjuna was completely confused. But in the end, Arjuna chose to fight. So what happened in between? Arjuna asked 22 questions and Krishna spoke 500 plus verses. So the kind of clarity which Arjuna received was the actual purpose of human life. So what we have to understand here is like, so technology is actually becoming very robust and strong even in current days, right? But are humans evolving mentally is the question. So problems keep increasing, right? Most of the businesses across the world, they suffer various losses, and that is never improving. Every year it is the same thing again and again. And the attention span of humans are consistently decreasing. Like back in 2016, statistics say that it was like 12 seconds. Without getting distracted, one can actually focus. Now the attention span has gone to 8 seconds. So we all get distracted. So what is the cause of this particular distraction? We are not able to fix our mind on the complete purpose of life. So when Krishna says we are all part and parcels of Krishna, which means we are all eternal souls, and our body keeps changing from childhood to boy to adult. And at the end of this particular life, we will take another body according to our desire. So the moment we start getting attached to particular results, which means, say, for example, some of you might be a student, some of you might be working professionally. So the moment you start getting attached to your results, which means you are trying to put yourself in a position that this particular thing, I am performing this particular action. So if the results are not in a way in which I expect, then I'm not satisfied. So you are putting that particular goal as your object of satisfaction, right? So which is okay to do, but eventually when you start getting attached to the results, which means the goal is not connected to the ultimate purpose of life. The purpose is the motivation of that particular goal. Okay, that is very, very important. So what is the ultimate purpose of life? In this particular purport, if you see, the commentary mentions very, very clearly that the ultimate purpose is salvation. So let me share that purport again so that we can read that purport once again now. So if you see this particular purport, you can clearly see it's mentioned, but should act without the attachment to result. Such disintegrated obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. So at the end of this particular life, depending on what desires we have in our mind, we get the next body accordingly. So we are all in the cycle of birth and death. So in this particular life, we set some particular goals and we start working towards that particular goal. But ultimately, you know, people can work in basically, say, for example, three different modes, right? You can be in the mode of ignorance, or you can be in the mode of passion, or you can be in the mode of goodness, right? So when you are in the mode of ignorance, you might absolutely be breaking all the principles of dharma. You might not be following the rules what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. So when you are in the mode of passion, so this can drive to comparison. So say for example, your goal would be set on a particular object. You will have an object of satisfaction, but when you see other people growing too fast, you might have some jealousy in your heart. You might start comparing yourself with others. And when you are actually operating in the mode of goodness, that is when you get completely detached. So say that I'm doing my work as a matter of duty. So I'm going to office, I'm doing a particular work, and I don't care how people judge. End of the day, I need this particular work to actually run my family. Okay, so that's, you can stay detached from the results of what the office is giving, the fruits. And some people might get promoted quickly, some people might not get promoted quickly, but at the end of the day, you might have to continue engaging yourself 9 hours a day. So you can see it that way as well. At the same time, there can be some reasonable expectations for the time that you are investing. So this is something which we need to understand, right? So basically, when fear is driving your motivation, right? So when you are motivated by fear, which means you will be anxious towards whatever work you're doing. right? So there are like 4 levels of motivation. So when the motivation is fear, which means our mind is in the mode of ignorance. And when the motivation is by desire, right? So I desire something out of work. So when you're performing an action out of fear, then your mind is said to be in the mode of ignorance. And when you're performing an action desiring something from that, then the mind is said to be in the mode of passion, which is called as rajasic. So when mind is again in the mode of passion, you get anxiety and you get stress to compete with others. So say for example, you see somebody else growing and you will see that person as a competition, and you start chasing that particular goal without knowing whether it's your goal or whether it's other person's goal. And then when you are doing it as a matter of duty, which means you're in the mode of goodness. So when you do work as a matter of duty, you get calmness and peace. So that's what Krishna is trying to say, but that will still accumulate karma. So each and every action that you do in this particular world, you are bound to accumulate karma. That is how we understand Krishna's teaching in Bhagavad Gita. So certain karmas are good and certain karmas are bad. So when we say that, do your work as a matter of duty and perform it like you don't get yourself attached or too involved in it, which means you do that particular work as yoga, right? So, what is yoga? Yoga means connecting to a higher energy. So, Bhakti Yoga, what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita as the ultimate goal, is connecting yourself to Krishna with some bhakti. So, when we say that I do a particular thing, I might have some fear because of which I'm doing that particular thing, or I might have desire, or I might do it as a matter of duty. So these are the 3 motivations that we saw. But the 4th motivation, which Krishna says in Gita, is do it as a matter of love or service to God, to Krishna himself. So we have these bodies given to us by Krishna. So end of the day, this human body is a vehicle to question the purpose of life. So good or bad. So say for example, when you are doing it as a matter of duty, when I say you accumulate good karma or bad karma, so good or bad, even animals can do. So what is different between human beings and animals, right? Even they can discriminate to some extent, which is good and which is bad. So they'll all be hunting from morning to evening for their purpose is to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. So they'll be hunting for food from morning to evening, and then they do the other 3 things. And humans, we also can do the other 3 things. But what is that which is different in us and which animals are not capable of? We can question about our purpose in life, and we can reorient ourselves towards the highest purpose. Okay. So we all are struggling for happiness, right? So when we say, I'll give you an example to understand this. So there are totally, so happiness are of 5 different types, right? So one is sensual happiness, which we try to experience happiness with our sense objects. Okay. So say for example, when you want to eat an ice cream, so you will have, you want to enjoy that ice cream in your tongue. And if the ice cream is not sweet enough, then you might be disappointed because you are making that as an object of satisfaction. You're trying to derive happiness from that particular ice cream. And that can last for some amount of time. Okay. Sensual happiness, happiness which we try to derive from our sense organs. And whatever we did yesterday, that cannot be our happiness for today. So you cannot be happy or contented today because you had an ice cream yesterday. Does that make sense? So this happiness will last, the sensual happiness will last for a very, very short period of time. It is temporary in nature. So now the second type of happiness we are talking about is mental or emotional happiness, which lasts a little longer. So we can derive, some people like painting, painting on canvas, art, music, acting, performing drama. So these are all considered to be your mental or emotional happiness. Okay. And the third type of happiness we are talking about is intellectual happiness. So a lot of people try to gain knowledge, material knowledge. People like doing higher studies, people like doing PhD, people like playing chess, people like playing like complicated games in the West and foreign countries. Even in India, gaming culture is really, really huge. People like problem solving, and a lot of people they like coding. So these are all considered to be intellectual happiness. So people derive happiness from these type of activities. And the fourth type of happiness is called as egoistic pleasure, or deriving happiness from your ego. So what does this mean? People try to control other people when you are in power, right? When you want to dictate how things must be. Say, for example, you are in a very, very authoritative or a very, very bossy position, right? So, which means people will actually listen to you. So, when you are able to choose what people have to do so that things look the way you want it to be, so that will give you some happiness. So that is called as say egoistic pleasure. So the first one what we saw was sensual happiness, second one emotional or mental happiness, the third one intellectual happiness, and the fourth one egoistic pleasure. So all this 1, 2 and 3 and 4 put together, say it weighs 100 kgs. Okay, so now the fifth type of happiness, which is million times greater than this, is spiritual happiness. That is the topmost happiness. So depending on your level of consciousness, we set goals accordingly to derive happiness from any of these five. So whatever we do in life, it will fall under one of these five buckets. So only spiritual happiness, the first four are temporary, but when compared to each other, one lasts a bit longer than the other. Okay. So your emotional happiness or mental happiness lasts longer than your sensual happiness. That is why a lot of people try to, go for arts or music, try to find calmness or peace in music. But a step higher is intellectual happiness, and a step higher is your egoistic pleasure when you want some power. But happiness is not unlimited in any of these. Okay. So happiness will never be unlimited in any of this. Only when you have a spiritual pleasure, when you start reorienting your lives towards any spiritual practice, the happiness which comes out of that is a million times better or million times greater than this. So now going back to our purpose, right? So when we actually do a particular work, and if we are doing it as a matter of duty, but if it is not connected to God or the Supreme with a particular yoga process, then it is completely useless. We'll be accumulating karma. And whatever happiness you get out of it, it is not going to last long. Sometimes you think that you will have better clarity, sometimes you think that you will not have clarity. That's when you start facing problems. Okay. So what Krishna says here, you do it as a matter of duty, but be detached to the results, which means you don't think that you are the one who is doing that and you are the only one who is doing that, and all the results are happening according to your efforts. So basically what Krishna says, if you see in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 shloka 15, so how do we reconcile this? So we cannot take one single verse and try to understand the entire context. So if you see in chapter 15, Krishna says that he's existing in everybody's heart as the super soul. and from him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So, if you're doing a particular action, which means the sanction has to come from within, right? So, Krishna would be allowing you as the super soul sitting in your heart. So, you're the Atma, and Krishna is Paramatma. So, Paramatma will be allowing you to do that particular activity. And there are various other factors influencing that particular activity. So sometimes you may be doing your duty 100%, but things don't turn out the way you want to. So, and if you think that you are the cause of that particular result, that means you're getting attached to that particular activity. So that is what Krishna is saying. You do it as a matter of duty, but the moment when things don't happen the way you want, then accept the reality or accept the situation. So the way in which Krishna recommends us to see this particular world is that what we saw in the previous class, right? Happiness and distress are like winter and summer seasons. So it is 50-50. Okay, whether you're going to be happy or whether you're going to be sad, it is 50-50. So expect happiness to last only for a certain amount of time and expect sadness also to last only for a certain amount of time. So when you get attached to a particular result of your activities, which means you're technically getting attached to your own expectations. So make sure that you are enthusiastic to reorient your expectations at the time of adversities whenever you're facing any problems, which is very, very important. So what is resilience? Resilience means the ability to come back to shape during adversities. That is called as resilience. So if we are too attached to that particular result, and if you're not able to accept that you are pursuing or you're aspiring to achieve a particular goal, and for whatsoever reason, if you're disappointed with the result, and if you think that everything is because of me, and if you start self-deprecating yourself, then it is not going to add up. You're going to get depressed. That's what is going to happen. So that is a factor of luck, and that is a factor of all other various situations around you. And whomsoever is involved in that particular activity, their behavior and the way they change, the way they think, everything is related in a particular goal. So we cannot be worried about things which are not in your control. So when things don't go the way you want, take that as an opportunity to reflect on what is the motivation. So we saw four types of motivation. The first, are we motivated by fear? Why are we doing this particular work and why are we upset? Sit down and reflect. And second, what is our desire, right? And third, or are we doing it as a duty? Whether we are in the mode of ignorance, whether we are in the mode of passion, or whether we are in the mode of goodness. So when you sit down and reflect, you will get to know whether fear is driving you, or whether it is your desire which is driving you, or whether you're doing it as a duty. Okay. Now, see whether it is aligning with the ultimate purpose of life, ultimate purpose of human life. So, science can explain anything and everything in this particular world except one thing, which is purpose. When it comes to purpose, it becomes subjective. Everybody will start drawing their own purpose of life, right? So, depending on, we saw five different types of happiness. So, from this five different types of happiness, everybody will have their own purpose. And some people will be happy for a longer period of time, and some people will be happy for a shorter period of time, right? So when we sit and reflect at the time of adversities and see how our purpose or motivation is oriented to what Krishna says as purpose of human life in Bhagavad Gita, then you will be able to solve that particular problem with proper consciousness. Whether that particular thing which you see as a problem, is it taking me closer to my purpose in life, the higher topmost purpose in life? Because only for some period of time we all can expect things to happen the way we want. At some point in time, you're right, you will all come to a state where nothing can make us happy in this particular world, right? This is that is because your goals are not aligned with the highermost purpose. So if the design is not fit for purpose, then say for example, you buy a particular phone and the phone is meant to do few things, and if it is not working the way it is meant to, which means the design is not fit for purpose. So now if you're not able to derive happiness from any of the things around you, then there is a higher realm where you can derive happiness from. And whatever happiness you are actually able to derive from the first four kinds of happiness, that is not lasting for long, right? It will last only for a certain amount of time. And then, which means we all are seeking for unlimited happiness. So, how can we get that unlimited happiness? It cannot come from all these material objects of satisfaction. So that is the essence of what Krishna is trying to say in this particular verse. So wherever you're trying to derive the happiness from, which is good if you're finding purpose there, but make sure that your goals or happiness is performed with the mindset of yoga. Yoga means connection to Krishna. So the moment you have a separate interest that, okay, fine, now I have this particular job which is going to give me X amount of money, right? So the moment you get attached to that particular money means the results. So you can do your job as a matter of duty. You can do your studies as a matter of duty because you need to maintain this particular body. And you're maintaining this body for what? What is the ultimate purpose of life? Is to do whatever we are doing as an offering for Krishna, to get liberated. That's what Krishna says in this particular verse. It won't take you to salvation. We want to go beyond the cycle of birth and death, right? So that is the spiritual world. We are all in the material world. So we need to purify our consciousness. We need to purify our karma. And at the end of this particular life, we'll have to reach the spiritual world where we are not bound by time, or we are not bound by death. So that is the understanding. So if we have this thing clear in your mind, which means when there are adversities, there will not be conflicting identities, right? Arjuna had three conflicting identities: as a warrior, as a grandson, and as a student. So he had three conflicting identities from one particular situation. So life can put you in circumstances where it can create conflicting identities. So how soon you can purify that particular consciousness or thought process and then reorient your way of thinking to the actual purpose of life, that is called as resilience, building resilience. And resilience is an art because you can always achieve perfection. And resilience is also science because there is a method to do it. And the method which Krishna recommends to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita is meditation, right? So any form of meditation, it should come with practice. Okay, you need practice, you need commitment, and the most important thing, you need association or like-minded people. Only then you will not be distracted. If any one of these three misses, then you will definitely be distracted. So any meditation is meant to give you that calmness or peace. So when we do our day-to-day life as a matter of duty, duty towards our society, duty towards our family, right? When you do it in that way, you automatically get that calmness and peace. But it is not an overnight process. We might be doing it out of our desires as well. So how do we purify that is by the process of meditation. So every meditation needs an object of satisfaction. So the mantra which Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita is chanting the names of Hari, Vishnu or Krishna. Okay, so when the object of satisfaction is spiritual in nature, then we are trying to seek a spiritual pleasure. Okay, and that can be unlimited, which we saw the fifth type of happiness. So any meditation practice, meditation is not just, sitting, closing your eyes and sitting still and, observing your thoughts. You need an object. Meditation should have an object, right? So you, for your happiness, you have an object of satisfaction. You have an object. So even meditation is for your inner peace or calmness which you're trying to derive, and that also has to come from an object. So object of meditation should be Vishnu or Krishna in this particular Kali Yuga. So that is what our scriptures are recommending us. So that is what Krishna is recommending in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So meditation can be a good starting point and building resilience. So how do we build resilience? How do we accept the reality faster? How do we tolerate the problems around us? So that comes with practicing any form of meditation. Practice, commitment, and association. So let me summarize what we have discussed today. So we saw what are the 4 types of motivation based on which we do our activities. So the first motivation can be fear of losing something, or fear of not doing something, or fear of not growing, or fear of not achieving something. And we might not be in the right consciousness. So that can lead just to anxiety and stress. We are in the mode of ignorance. And the second form of motivation is our desire, because I want to achieve this, I want to become this. Wrong identity. That's in the mode of passion. That can also lead to, stress competing with others, stress comparison with others. And the third type of motivation which we saw was duty, doing it as a matter of duty. So that can give you calmness and peace. And the fourth type of motivation which Krishna recommends, so first 3 are bound to karma. You will accumulate karma. And the fourth type of motivation is love. Okay, doing it as a loving service to Krishna, because he has given us this particular body, right? And if we don't want to be bound by time and death, which means we'll have to be prepared to die. We need to die properly so that we can actually start living properly. Does it make sense? That is what Krishna says as salvation or liberation. So the whole human life is designed for us to question the purpose of life and make sure that we purify our consciousness, purify your mind, and we die with the right consciousness or with the right desire, so that we don't get another form of material body and we are bound by cycle of birth and death. So we need to make sure that we die properly so that we can live properly in the spiritual world. Okay. So, and we also saw what are the 5 types of happiness. And the first one is sensual happiness. Second one is mental or emotional. And the third type of happiness, which we saw, is intelligence. By increasing your intelligence, one can be satisfied. And the fourth type of happiness, which we saw, is egoistic pleasure. By accumulating power, how many people I can control. So each type of happiness will last, it keeps increasing. Each type of happiness will last for a certain amount of time, but eventually you will face distress. And the fifth type of happiness is the spiritual happiness, which comes only if we do our duties with a process of yoga, which means connecting our duties to God. If not, we'll be accumulating karma and we'll be in the first 4 levels of happiness and we'll be going through distress as well. So, this is what we have discussed in today's class. So any questions? Any questions from what we have discussed, or any questions which you are facing difficulties in your day-to-day life for? It's open. Now we are all open to questions. So what did you learn from today's verse? We'll start from the order in my screen. Samraksha, let's hear from you. What did you learn from today's verse, which is applicable for your life? Okay, let's start with Brandon.
Okay, I think I learned like our motivation, the best way is doing for service of love of Krishna. And our happiness has to be the spiritual one, like connecting our duties with God. Yeah, it's correct. So in all these class, the resume is like do for motivation of love and choose our happiness to connecting our duties with God. Yeah. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's a correct understanding. So we need to ensure that each and every activity we do it as a yoga. Yoga means connection, connecting with the Supreme. So any activity we do, if it is not connected to God or Krishna, then we are accumulating karma. Doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. Bad means more karma, good means less karma. Bad means you'll go to lower planetary systems. Below Earth, there are 7 planets. Good means you will go to the higher planetary systems where you can enjoy more. And from both the places, either enjoying or suffering, you will have to come back to Earth. Again, connect yourself with the process of yoga, and only then you can get out of the cycle of birth and death. Okay, so now, Disha, what did you learn from this particular verse?
Today I just learned that we should always focus on the goals, whatever goals we have decided in our life, maybe it is our studies or our profession or anything. But we should attach ourselves for those goals, but we should, literally detach ourselves from the result. That what would be the result? Thinking of the result would, just drag us down from whatever our goal is. I feel that we should just leave everything on Krishna, I guess. He
Hmm.
can just handle our everything. We should just focus on our goal and he'll give us the result eventually. So I guess that is the most important thing I learned today. And also the motivation and happiness, that thing was really a good part which I learned today. That the motivations, like what motivations you have, you need to understand. It is really important that whether it is ego or desire or whatever it is, but you should understand what kind of motivation, what kind of happiness it is, and you should enjoy everything. And eventually, if it's everything, if you are doing really good, then it'll, as you said, it'll accumulate to a good karma. So I
Hmm.
guess doing good things, or maybe going on a right path, a positive path, will accumulate a good karma, I feel.
Right. So the point which we have to notice is not accumulating good karma. So whatever activities we do, our goal, it should be aligned with the ultimate purpose of life, which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is to get to cultivate love for Krishna. So whatever activities we do it as a service. Okay, so why we have to study? Because we have to study so that we can maintain ourselves with a proper lifestyle. Okay, and lifestyle for what? Not for enjoying. Okay, we can enjoy, but we'll enjoy with Krishna, a spiritual lifestyle, right? So that we cultivate love for Krishna and we spread that love to others. We transform ourselves and we make sure that we are able to transform people around us by living by example. So, Revti, what did you learn today?
Yeah, I learned that whatever we do, we should not attach ourselves to the results of the actions. Yeah, I have a small incident to share.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like back then when I was in college, once one of my, I mean, I thought this incident would be related to what we learned in class today. So one of my friend met with an accident, and he was presumably from a poor family. So my friend came to me and said they wanted some money to be collected for the operation of her friend.
Mm-hmm.
So we went about to some colleges collecting money from people. And I also like went to some of my relatives asking for money. And yeah, one of my uncles, he gave me some money. And along with it, he gave me a piece of advice. He said, you go give this money to your friend. and just get done with this. Don't after that, don't attach yourselves to anything. Don't ask how her friend is doing after that. Don't try to find out anything about them. Don't come back to me, and also don't tell me anything about the results of how that person is doing, and you also don't try to engage with that person. With this, the duty is done. You just collected your money, you've done your part. Don't do anything more. At that point, I didn't understand much. I thought, like, I mean, why should we just do that? I probably didn't even follow it, but later on, I kind of understood what he said. Said the results of that action is not linked to me. I don't even know that person.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this as a duty. With
Yes.
that, I should be done with it. And yeah, today, whatever we learned, I could kind of connect it to that incident. So I just wanted to share it.
So this is actually called as, whenever you read Bhagavad Gita, so what Revati shared is called as realizations. So you get a lot of realizations when you sit down and when you reflect or introspect with your life, what journey it has taken. So you would be able to clearly see where you had made mistakes in setting goals, where you were attached. So now with this particular knowledge, you can always reorient your life from today. Okay, so that is something which, so tomorrow when we are performing our activities, with what consciousness you're performing is what matters. So spirituality is just a mindset. It is the mindset which we have to cultivate. And that mindset we'll be able to cultivate only when we first transform our lifestyle to a disciplined lifestyle. That is very, very important. So a lot of people think that, if I have more skills or if I have more money, I'll be able to overcome obstacles. So that is not true. You don't need to have any skills. You don't need to have any money to be happy. So everything is a state of mind. So, so when you say lifestyle, a spiritual lifestyle, we need to make sure that we are fit. So, being lazy is not an option. And the second thing, good diet. Good diet affects your mindset. And the third thing is spiritual discipline, your intention and action in your activity. So all these three things, with not just spiritual discipline and without focusing on diet and fitness, you won't be able to balance your body, mind, and soul. Right? So you need to be fit and you need to be conscious of what you're eating, right? And these two comprises of your physical fitness to maintain this particular body which Krishna has given us. And then spiritual discipline means your intention and what action you perform with what intention. So these three things comprises of a spiritual lifestyle. So only when you cultivate this lifestyle, you will be able to get these realizations and you can see things with more clarity. So certain things which you're seeing as a problem will actually not be a problem at all. Right? Your skills or money doesn't matter end of the day. Right? It is just like money is just like a number in a bank account. You need is food, clothing, and shelter. That's it. Right? Now, what type of food you're eating, where you're eating, that is a personal choice. Okay? What type of clothes you're wearing, which brand I'm wearing, where am I going and purchasing it, right? How it should look, what color I want. So the principle is food, clothing, and shelter. How we are doing it is detailed. And shelter, where I want to live, what type of house I want to live with, whom I want to live, who makes me happy. All you need is a roof, basically, nothing else. So this problem or this level of desires will come only when we try to derive happiness on the first four types of happiness. When you actually try to derive happiness from the spiritual source, then all of these things, Krishna says, if you are trying to come to me, then it is my responsibility to make things easy around you. That's what Krishna says, he promises. So that is why Krishna consciousness is a science. There is a method. We have a process to follow. So if we follow that process, if we try to spiritually orient our lives, then Krishna promises that he will make sure that he will give all that is required materially so that we can adjust and focus on our spiritual lifestyle. He won't put us in trouble. So that's Krishna's promise. Okay, so Nikita, what did you learn?
Hare Krishna. I learned. Like we have to live Sorry, I'm just distracted at the moment. So
Yeah, we saw attention span is very less.
yeah.
That's
So what
okay.
I learned is we should always uh, even at the work or at home, you should work like as if you are doing duty, so that you will be detached from all the outcomes. Yeah, and so for that you just have to have you have to be spiritual, that you can be with aligning with the people who are spiritual, and reading scriptures and meditating, doing japa, so that you will be in that state of mind where you perform your duty as it is a yoga. And I think it's very important in this today's world when we are at work, because it's really hectic and stressful working in Australia. So if you just be detached and just perform your duty in 8 hour shift, and you just come home with a good peace of mind, then that's very helpful. So I learned like you have to perform your duty as it is a yoga, and just always be mindful that you are a soul and where you belong. So for that you have to, it's a long process, and it needs a lot of practice, I think.
Yes, correct. So that's a very good point. So it's not an overnight thing. So meditation is a good start. Mantra meditation is even a better start. So how we can, cultivate resilience is by practice, commitment, by practicing mantra meditation, commitment towards reading Bhagavad Gita, attending all these classes, and then mixing with like-minded people. Okay. So let's listen from Katie. How was your experience? So what are your realizations?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So yeah, I really loved the session. So I mean, I really wanted to attend this, and so these are basically my takeaways from today's session. So we learned about the different kinds of motivation, like fear of losing, which leads to anxiety, desire, duty, love or service to Krishna, and what Krishna has actually recommended Arjuna, which is detached engagement to one's duties. So as a human being, we may have a short-term or a long-term goal, but we should attach ourselves only to the goals and not to the results associated with the goals. So basically, we have to give our best effort while doing our duties, but not really, expect the fruits of the action. And how quickly we can adapt to the changes and reorient ourselves to the goals are basically something, which is actually the meaning of resilience, or which comes into picture, or which actually comes into our lives with a proper spiritual mindset. And Krishna teaches us to perform our duties as service to God. And we also learned about the different kinds of happiness, like the sensory happiness, emotional, intellectual, and egoistic pleasure. So all of those happiness, but above all of these happiness is the spiritual happiness, which we can, gain in our lives by considering Krishna as the super soul, and who is basically, symbolic of compassion, remembrance, forgiveness, knowledge. And we can actually, once we start meditating, once we inculcate that spiritual mindset in our everyday activities, that disengagement, basically the, dissociation with the results will come into play. And that's a very methodical process wherein we actually have to do constant meditation, every single day. We have to create that balance or harmony between our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And this is actually the key to, getting salvation. And the most important part here is that, I mean, which I understood was we need to learn the right purpose to die so that we can live properly. So unless we understand, why we are here on this earth, or what is the purpose, the right purpose of taking birth, we cannot really live properly in the material world. And our aim goal, I mean, the end goal should be to attain salvation and not take rebirth in a different form altogether. So That's why, like, in order to live properly, we need to have that resilience. We need to have that proper mindset. So with resilience, one should actually, like, be aware of the consciousness and be able to reorient the mind, basically reorient their thought process, so that, we do not have conflicting identities at the time of atrocities or adversities. So, and this entire thing is basically referred to as karma yoga, karma, which is performed in connection with Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, this is pretty much my takeaway from today's session. So, like, whatever we do, the main idea is to, like, detach ourselves from the results and basically, like, offer it to God while we are doing it, provide our best efforts, so that we can actually, in the process, we can attain salvation in the long run. And a way to do it is meditation, essentially.
Meditation is a good start. Yeah. Right. So that's a very good point which you made. So one of the key takeaways is a lot of people, right? If we are aligned with our purpose, we won't be afraid of dying, right? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Everybody has to go through something or the other. Old age you cannot avoid. Any type of diseases you cannot avoid. Birth you cannot avoid. Death you cannot avoid. So if we die with the right consciousness, if we inquire our purpose, which humans can do, only humans can actually do that. Inquire and reorient your life according to purpose. So the moment you start understanding this, your spiritual journey begins. And then it's a lifelong or continuous process. Okay, so Nabya, let's hear from you.
So today I have learned that we have to work hard, like we have to focus on work with hard work, patience, and consistency, and we'll get good result, and we can get more than what we have expected. And I have realized on my life as well. And after that, as you said, like spiritual happiness is the important one. And I have realized since childhood, like I'm looking for the happiness in many things, and I wasn't that happy. But since I started going to the iskcon, like I'm really happy. And like sometimes I'm asking myself, how come I become that happy? Like even I asked you. So yeah,
That's
that's
true, right? Like we spoke, the spiritual happiness is the unlimited happiness. So only when the source has unlimited quantity of something, you can actually keep enjoying it or relishing it.
Yeah,
So the moment you are taking a spiritual practice means you are trying to associate with Krishna. Krishna is the reservoir of happiness. You don't have to chase, it will come to us.
And that's when I thought, like, we are forgetting all the pains and everything in life, all the worries. And then that's when our mind is so calm, relaxed, and we can focus on our work, on our life in a really good way, in which we can achieve our goal more quicker and easier in a peaceful way as well.
Nice. Good realization. So Adip, you're there? You want to share something? Okay. All right. So we'll end today's session. So we will have a couple of more sessions on resilience before we go to mind management. So if you guys have any questions, always feel free. They've shared a lot of tips, a lot of different ways of thinking in the 3 resilience videos. We have seen 3 different shlokas. So each of that will be key to your growth. So every day what we are trying to do whenever we are having a problem, what Krishna says is embrace that particular problem. Don't run away. Sit with that particular problem. Try to reorient your life. Be enthusiastic to revisit and reorient your life. Be enthusiastic to accept the reality. Have that enthusiasm. Okay. So the moment we start sitting with our problems and integrating it in our lifestyle and see, okay, where is the source of distress coming from? Where did I make mistake? Sit and think clearly. Okay, so there is nothing to worry. Things will keep happening. The world, earth will keep rotating. Nothing is going to stop. Okay, so go through, multiple times the previous class, try to see if you can make notes. You can just make like each class like one page notes. That will be like really, really handy. So see how much you are connected with your identity, how much you are connected with the purpose of human life. The more you are connected with your identity and the more you are oriented towards the purpose, lesser the distress will be. Okay? All good? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah, Nabia, you want to say something?
Yeah, like yesterday I went to the temple. I have met one devotee of Canberra, and she was saying there is a 24-hour kirtan happening in Canberra iskcon. So I was wondering, like, if there will be someone.
Yeah, I'll text you on that. It'll happen every year. So I'll text you somebody who's going. Maybe you can join them. Okay.
Yeah, maybe so that I can fix the work schedule as well. And
We can talk
because
over the phone on that. Yeah, okay.
okay, sure.
Yeah, I'll call you on that. All right. Srila
Okay,
Prabhupada
thank you.
ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.